During your experience of being a student at primary school and high school, have you been told that you are gifted? Or hey, you are a very smart student? Or your behavior was strange and weird, and people around you became very concerned? Who are gifted children? How can we identify them, support them? Hi, this is Nasser, a PhD student in gifted education at Monash University. When I began my PhD journey, I was carrying out lots of questions, looking for pairs and gels to my people. However, I realized that my area of study is very complicated and hard to understand. Just how pairs and gels are hard to find, with the belief that these materials are not more valuable than a human mind. One of the facts that shocked me in the literature is that there is no universal definition of giftedness and gifted students. For instance, the 50 United States of America have different definitions of gifted students and different procedures in identifying the gifted, which a child finds himself gifted in this state, but if he or she moves to another state, they are no longer gifted. All such these questions led me to believe the need for evaluating and setting comprehensive policy in gifted education in Saudi Arabia, which my thesis is trying to fill this gap. My PhD study is about policies and practices of gifted education in Saudi Arabia, a case study analysis. Why gifted education policy is important? Because it's a primary challenge facing leaders in the field of gifted education. Policies determine the major elements of programs and become the boundaries of our choices. The aim of my research is to explore the factors that shaped gifted education policy and practices in these four main areas of gifted education policy: identification, programs and services, teacher selection and preparation, program evaluation. The study is used National Association for Gifted Children Policy Essentials. These criteria are the result of the experiences of leaders in gifted education, and it provides an examination of existing policies. This thesis used qualitative methodology as case study. 54 documents were analyzed, and 21 participants were interviewed. Data were sorted and coded using MaxQDA software program. This slide gives a snapshot of main key findings of my research. Because of the limited time, I will focus on research question number 2 and give you some examples. One main key findings related to gifted education policy in Saudi Arabia. There is no overarching gifted education policy stated clearly in one single document. However, there are some guidelines address some areas of gifted education policy. In addition, gifted schools develop their own guidelines. Therefore, gifted schools focus more on policy development than implementation. In addition, the Saudi gifted education policy didn't address all National Association criteria. Looking at gifted education policy related to identification. One of the main important criteria is multiple criteria. Mohiba test is the main identifier of gifted education in Saudi Arabia. In other words, high student score determines the suitable program for students in the Saudi context. Another important criterion is the importance of using operation definition. The Ministry of Education and girls' schools for the gifted and boys' school for the gifted didn't agree in one definition of gifted student. Looking at gifted education policies related to personal preparation, a comprehensive policy requires teachers for the gifted to complete university-based coursework in gifted education. Teachers for the gifted in Saudi Arabia are not required to take university-based coursework in gifted education. Recently, Saudi Arabia paid more attention to gifted programs. The Saudi Vision 2030 aims to create non-oil alternatives and achieve sustainable development based on youth minds. Furthermore, it can be noticed that Saudi students achieved very high standards in international competitions. However, there is a need for comprehensive policy and more research for evaluating CAT practices in gifted education. If there is a takeaway message, it would be this. In order to create a strong support system for gifted students, advocates, and educators must understand, guide, and utilize policy. Thank you.